What if you didn't actually have to completely remove your synthetic dreadlock extensions when it's time for them to actually be redone? Sounds crazy, right? I'm going to show you how you can actually go through and refresh your whole head of dreadlocks so you don't have to completely remove them, wash your hair, repart your hair, and then put them all back in. For me, parting seems like it's what takes the longest, and so I hate that part. And so I love doing this refresh process sometimes. So I can put them in for 4 weeks, do the full head refresh, and then I can leave them another 4 weeks again. A few days ago, I reached a point where I was like, all right, it's time to redo these. And now we're on the day where it's like, all right, they really need to be redone. They're getting uncomfortable. They're moving around a little bit too much. They're pretty loose. I'm going to show you how loose they are. Usually my rule of thumb is once I can slide my pinky in, that's when they need to be redone. They're a little bit past that point right now. I've just been so busy, I haven't wanted to do it. So they're pretty loose. There's gaps there. I can definitely slide my pinky inside of those, especially these top ones. They have come really, really loose. So I'm going to do a full head refresh on these. I won't have to repart my hair. I won't have to start from scratch, and it makes it so, so nice. To start off, here's what you're going to need. You can already see back here that I have a mirror happening. I have one here, and then I have one kind of in front of me. And so this is what I recommend. It's get a couple of mirrors that you can use. This one here is just one of the like put on the back of your door mirrors, right? The really narrow ones, like the check your outfit mirrors. You can get those from like Walmart, usually around the time when like college is getting ready to start for like $15 or something. So get yourself a couple of these if you do not have big mirrors. I then also took down my vanity mirror, which is just a big, nice, pretty mirror. I took that down and it's in front of me. So I have them leaned like against each other so I can actually see the back of my head. So the same way that this camera is acting as a mirror right now and I can see the back of my head when I put my dreadlocks up and I can work on the back of it. That's what I have here with this mirror. Next thing I need is I have a little hand mirror just in case I need it, right? I have a bunch of scrunchies to pull my hair up, like literally a bunch of scrunchies. What else do I have here? Oh, it's a Vindy cooling veil. I have a Vindy cooling veil. I'm gonna use this to be spraying once I go through and comb a chunk of hair out. I'm going to spray this on it so that I can go through and know that first of all my scalp is being moisturized, my hair has something good for it on it, and then this is going to help the hair stick together so we can get rid of any of that frizz. Now what I did to prep for this is I already washed my hair today. I used a Vindy shampoo bar, washed my hair, and then I went ahead and blow dried my hair so that it wasn't too sopping wet when I'm doing this. It's actually mostly dry. Some of my natural hair is still slightly damp, but not a ton. You don't want it soaking wet. And so I'm going to begin the process of going through and doing a full head refresh where I do not have to even take them all out and I can keep the parts that are already there. Super quick, let me actually show you a little bit better how these mirrors are set up. So I have them slightly angled. I've got some buddies over here with me. And then I've got one here leaned against my vanity that you can see as well. So they're just kind of back to back. If you're like, hey, I don't have that set up in my bedroom, that doesn't work. I've done this other ways too. So I've actually taken this mirror or both of these mirrors out into my living room and I leaned one up against my couch, sat on the floor, and then I actually brought one of my bar stools or one of my dining room chairs, put it in front of me and leaned my other mirror against that. So you can do whatever you need to do to make it work for whatever location you're in. Find things around the house, slide an end stand over if you need to make it work for you. All right, let's get started with this. So I'm going to take a scrunchie right now and I'm going to start off by putting part of my hair up. So I'm going to take most of the top of it and put it on top of my head. I like to leave about halfway down out and I'll adjust this as I go, but this gets a bunch of it out of the way, off my neck, so I'm not fighting with it, and then it's on top of my head there. Then I have these pieces down, and then I will take everything but the bottom row. So I'm going to start with the bottom row. So I'm going to leave those bottom ones down. For me, it's only 3. I always do 3 on the bottom. 4 is way too much. I've tried it. It doesn't work. All right, and then I'm going to wrap these ones up here too with another scrunchie so that they are out of my way completely. And I will turn the camera a little bit so you can see a little bit better what's happening here too. I've got it all set here. You can see I have part of my hair up. I just left the bottom row down here. And so you can see that my phone here, my camera is actually acting as, you know, one of my mirrors going backwards. And this is something else you can do. If you ever like, I have one mirror, I don't have 2, set up your phone on a tripod, on books, whatever, makeshift as you need to, and then set up another mirror and set up that way. Another idea, I'm not this tech savvy and I just haven't, I could figure it out if I took the time, but I haven't taken the time. But if you know how to do this, I have actually seen someone actually take their phone, put it on a tripod, set it up behind them. They were sitting in a chair and they streamed their phone to their television, and so that they were able to just stare at their TV and actually work on their braids, and they put all their braids in. This was someone that's just doing straight up box braids, and so she braided her head. So that's a cool idea too that you can do if you know how to do that right off the bat, or you want to take the time to figure it out, of course. So that's one way you can do it. Okay, so here obviously I have taken down just the bottom row. I've already taken the rubber bands out of this one, and so I'm just going to begin unbraiding and pulling the braid out little by little. When you do this, you don't want, my hair's a little bit damp, but you don't want it too wet because your hair does get to where there's like more stretching and stuff and pulling that can happen. Like it's not as strong when it's wet. And so it's good to have it a little bit more on the dry side as you do this. You don't want it to be like sopping wet. So I'm going to do that, pull it out. And there's another highlight I want to hit on here. So you may have, I let mine go too long, so they kind of start to dread a little bit up here at the top, and that happens. So I'm going to comb it out really quick. And you're going to notice that you're going to have fall away as you do this. So fall away is just your natural hair that falls out, right? We all lose hair every day. We lose between 60 to 100 hairs a day. That's just naturally. And so if by the time you're done here, you're like, oh my gosh, there is a big ball of hair, that is totally normal, right? Totally normal for that to happen as well. You may notice things like I've noticed this bottom layer, usually when I take these ones out, there's like fuzz and stuff that also in the hair at times, because remember, that part of your hair is rubbing against your pillows, your blankets, the back of your couch, like your clothing, all of those things. And so I'll be like, oh, I wore a blue sweater. Look, interesting, it grabbed on. And so you're also going to, another thing you're going to notice is that there's going to be a lot of moisture to your hair most likely. If you've been using something like the Divinity Crown Nectar, some of that moisture is going to be in your hair, so you're going to feel that on your hands as well. And that's a good thing. It means your hair is well moisturized, it's well taken care of. You don't want it to feel dry and brittle like it can break, right? You don't want it to feel straw-like. And so that's not a good thing. Okay, so I've combed it out really well. I've lost just a tiny bit. I don't even know if you can see that tiny bit of hair. And then I'm going to give it a good spray real quick. Just a little mist. Shake it up. Give it a little mist. I'm going to part it. For these ones, the bottom row, I like to part going sideways just because it lays better. So this part of the parting you do have to do, obviously, is where you're separating it, but parting the actual box is the part that takes so long. And so I don't like to have to do that again. That's why I like doing this full head refresh. Okay, so I'm going to take mine now, and I'm going to, I like to put mine off-centered. So this is the length of this dread. I like to put it up here because then that makes one side much longer. I like mine to be on the longer side. You can put it the center if you want to, but I like to offset mine a little bit. I'm going to offset it. I'm going to hold it up there like this. And I actually like to use a hair clip for this. So I will usually do this out here, clip it there, and then I don't have to worry about the other piece floating around, and I can just take these two pieces, right? I'm going to put this in between. I will say the trickiest part of this is that you are working with a mirror, so everything's a little bit backwards, and so I sometimes actually have to like make sure that the dreadlock is between the two hairs, and then I look away from my mirror and crisscross it because I do better when I'm feeling it versus actually looking at it. So I've begun my braid, and I'm going to start. I like to, when I crisscross it pretty tight. I try to braid going side to side more than going down because I feel like it holds the dreadlock a lot easier. So I'm just going to begin braiding. I'm not going to show you every single one of these, but I'm going to show you this one as I go down the entire dreadlock. And mine's still pretty high. You can see my braid's pretty close together, and I find that holds it a lot better than if you try and make this long braid. Now, if you like the really crisscross all the way down, you can absolutely do that. For me, it holds better and longer and doesn't come loose as fast if I do this crisscrossing motion. And there's also a blanket stitch that a lot of people do. I have not tried that one just because this is what works for me, and I tend to at times be a creature of habit. And once I find something I like, I stick with it unless I find I'm not liking it anymore. And so far, this has been working well for me. Okay, so I got to the end. Now, if you ever get to the place where you have one piece get longer than the other, you can, these are really stretchy, these new rubber bands. If you ever get to a place where you have one piece that's longer than the other, combine the two pieces and then just split them again and continue braiding. You can do that. You're not going to notice it. It's not going to look crazy. It's not going to look weird or anything. So I'm going to put this rubber band on, and that's how you do it. So that one has been refreshed, and I will drop it down. They're going to be a little bit stiff at first. They're going to stick out a little bit more when you first swap them out, but over time, the next couple days, they'll completely lay down and be good to go. more tips as we go through here. I like to go through and actually check all of my dreadlocks as well to make sure they're cleaned up. So sometimes I'll get these little like fuzz balls on the side of them that's not the hair's dreading around it, but it's kind of off to the side. I like to go through and trim those off. I like to have mine dreadlocks having just kind of a really clean cut look. Obviously they're gonna have this like hippie chill vibe, right? But I like them to still look pretty clean cut as I'm wearing them. So this is a really good time to go through, check those things, make sure that they are good, really cleaned up and good to go. And let's talk about your arms getting tired as you're doing this. This is a really good tip and way that I found that's super helpful. So obviously right now I can like start back here and then I can begin braiding down. But once you get to like the back of your head, that's when it's hardest. Like you kind of have to keep your arms up there and then still even here they feel kind of high. I like to sit crisscross on the floor because of this. And so what I'll do is I'll actually pop one leg up, sometimes even both legs up, so I can actually support my arms as I'm working. And I'll be braiding here, or I'll support one arm like this, and switching back and forth. That kind of gives you a little bit of assistance as you're doing it. I also like to set timers where I'll work for 30 minutes, take a break, go get a snack or drink water, go to the bathroom, stroll around the house, and then come back and work on it some more. All right, I have made about halfway up my head here, which is probably about a third of it. It's been probably 2 hours, which is not bad because normally it takes about 8 hours to put a full set in. On my own, that's with all the parting and everything. So this is a good place to be on this and making progress along. I did take out like one in the back and I combined them together, so I have an extra one. This is a good time to like where if you've realized like you have too many, they're too heavy. Me right now I have 74 dreadlocks in and it is a little bit too heavy. I normally like to have about 65. I have done as little as 50 before. 50 was nice because it was just really light and easy, but those are good numbers to stay between. Usually people like 50 to 65, somewhere in that range. Like I said, I have more in and it was feeling kind of heavy in one spot, and so I took 2 of the boxes, combined them together to put just one in there. So this is a good time to do that if you feel like you need to reduce the amount that are in there. Here we are. I just completed doing my full head refresh on all of my dreadlocks, and so basically I can go another 4 weeks with these. It's like they've been put in fresh, brand new, but it did not take me 8 hours. I think I did it in like 5.5 hours. And so obviously depending on how many you have will make a difference on how long it takes you. I was able to remove I think 10 or so is what I took out. A little bit tighter now, so they're not going to lay as completely flat, but they do have a little bit more body now. They feel way more comfortable. There's no more tugging or pulling, but they are all here. They're installed. I think we're back from, I started off with like 74. I think we're down to about 65 or so, which is what I like to wear the most. I've worn down to 50. I think I said that before. But now this is just nice because now I know that I'm good for another 4 weeks. And so I can have them in, have my hair done for a total of 8 weeks without having to completely uninstall it. Go through the process of starting from scratch, but I'm good to go, just like this.